Y'all going over how to manage the Y chromosome. All this is taking place in the mitochondrial communication between Earth and women. The Y chromosome is a mutation. So it has to be regulated by something that's not mutated in order for it to have its optimum performance. And that responsibility goes to the mitochondria while the woman is gestating, and this is why she don't always make every Y active. And sometimes when it was would have came in as a boy, she overrode it and said, "Nope, the DNA is faulty. This one's going to have to be a girl to correct the error." This is all done within the woman, in the uterus, between the uterus and the Queen's chamber in the brain, where the pineal gland sit. The understanding of the self, it gives you the highest access to your power. And when you realize that y'all little earths walking around on earth, but you're also children of the stars, because everything in creation is made up of accumulated stardust. That's how we got here. That's what makes things solid. The accumulated stardust. It forms into our soils and our rocks, and it eventually bursts out as flora and fauna. It's the women who decided how to decorate Earth with the different flora and fauna. Or else we just had one bland, uniform plant for everything that don't work for everything. The diversity came from interacting and communicating with people from other places to put the proper flora and fauna. That's how come the women knew. If you go back and listen to Credo Mutua, he say it was our mothers who went out into the field to really know what they talking about, gonna tell you to eat intuitively.
Right. Then yeah. She said don't follow
yeah. That's one of the questions that you ask somebody that's so simple, but the answer proves their position, and that's being in the position of right, telling the truth, right? Because most people, they take sides with diet the same way they take sides with religion, with politics, because all of these was used as tools to divide us. Even when we start coming out of the slumber, you would see it was the vegan versus the non-vegan. It's the American versus the African American, right? Every time we wake up, they use whatever we waking up in to pit us against each other again, and we fall for it. Right. So when I was listening, I heard you answer that question. I started laughing. I said, "This is gonna show it right here. This is gonna show everybody if she the real deal or not." And she aced it.
Indeed. Yeah, shout out to Eric Hines. Great interview. If you haven't seen it, I advise you to go take a look at it.
Yeah, that was fire.
Yeah.
It was straight fire.
Got to get you on one day with her. That'll be a dope show. You and her together.
Oh yeah. They do something. When they be channeling. It's like I can read the streamer. Like, I don't channel like women. I read women that channel. And so I can tell you what she's talking about on current events while she's getting her message. I say, "Oh, she's talking about this." But from like going back after the fact, anybody could do that. I do it live on the spot and no prep.
Dope, man. Hey, Ross, so we miss you, my brother. You haven't been, or you took a break from the whole YouTube thing. A very interesting conversation tonight. We often hear you use the term conjure wars, and I know you're gonna go in, but I would like, for us to set, the context about exactly what a conjure war is. When a person hear a conjure war, it may go over their head. They may think, are you specifically talking about like a voodoo magic type of thing, a cult? Is this like an occult war that you're talking about? What exactly you mean by conjure wars, my brother?
Every secret society perform some form of what's known as high magic. Right now, we are breaking out of the conjure of the interim government, right? So it's two conjures three conjures. We breaking three conjures to break the hold of three city states.
Mm-hmm.
The war conjure was the queen's magician. I think his name was John D.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He gave her a conjure that gave her charge to military of anybody who was using blood rights to create a construct to keep us trapped mentally, right? So John D and the Queen in Europe did that conjure. They brought us the Bible. The Bible is a conjure called religion. Religion, if you trace the root to the word, it means to bind down to something. You use amen, which means conceal the God within. Every time you use amen, that's part of that Bible's contract. The only way out is to use the Bible as a contract or read it as a contract, read it as a star map, and read it as a riddle. Because it's going to walk you through how to break the conjure spell that is tied to the 1492 arrival of Columbus. They got cities over here with ancient Bible names. None of that was named, none of that before 1492.
Okay.
The Al-Maghrib, which is the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, secondary conjure contract under the George Washington Challenge. This is a blood contract to put the ones that came over as Moors with fezzes in a competition of knowledge and erudition with the ones wearing the feathers. The parameters of that conjure was that anybody that's one of the chiefs on the land, the first one to break free from the conjure is the one that's supposed to tell everybody, break free from the conjure, this is what it is. The hard part is our people didn't remember that we was under a conjure war. So when we start reminding them of Big Mama, we all got Big Mama examples that jars our memory. So when I came knocking Big Mama's drum, that's the little drummer boy trying to become the drum major to lead the band, so you can see what everybody is telling you a piece of the puzzle, but they can't see the whole thing because we wasn't supposed to. So the conjure war is all of these sorcerers called priests. They do high magic. Warlocks do high magic, but warlock is not the person. Warlock is a condition that the people are in during the conjure war, where they're not allowed to access their wealth to deplete the natural resources of the land. And if you look, America has not traded its own oil pumped over here in Mexico and Texas and Arizona, etc. They haven't been trading in that oil because it's in a warlock, meaning it's held in abeyance until somebody remember the parameters of the contract. And this is the constitutional contract written in the blood of Crispus Attucks. That's why they got to keep always tell you he the first one to die in the so-called American Revolution, because they went behind our back after the the loyalists set up the Constitution to keep the British at bay, but the dirty Moors, or the ones who came over here to replace us, they went behind and wrote the blood oath in the contract to keep us bound to their constitutional agreement, because it's written that the blood of the righteous shall not be spilled in vain. So when we talk about a conjure war, it's all of these masters in the secret societies. Now, I got to make them close that stuff. The Haitian Revolutionary Conjure closed. The Broken Mirror Conjure to keep the matriarchs broken up closed. All of these, it's major conjures. Then you got people still right now trying to conjure stuff at the close of an age. And every priest know that when you try to conjure at the close of an age, you reap all of the negative energy from that conjure. This is sorcery at its finest. It's absolute sorcery. It's a conjure. It's voodoo. Well, voodoo is a bad terminology because they told us it was, but voodoo is actually nature science. And that's the only way you're going to see your way out of here. That's why they kept telling us voodoo was evil, to keep us from going back to our ancestral ways.
Mm.
So that's what I talk about. the conjure war.
What's the difference between voodoo and hoodoo? Because you talk about the
That's denominational.
listen, okay,
It's like being the difference between the Baptist and the Pentecostal, or
okay,
Sunni and a Shia. It's denominational. Even when you say Santeria, they use different ways to express an organic culture in the enemy face because he won't stop you from passing these keys down to the next generation. And this is what takes us to um, Dr. Clark.
right.
He's a historian. He read history from angle of different writers around the world. And in the course of writing that history, he give us a position or an understanding of what we're dealing with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Rod, you said voodoo is nature science. I want to just to ask you about nature and what's going on with nature in this country right now. You know, you really do a good job representing this country in terms of telling us that this is our shit when a lot of us, you know, look overseas for a homeland. And what do you think about the wildfires, the hurricanes hitting Cali? This country's getting tore the fuck up by nature. Do
We
you
ain't the
feel
only
as
one.
though
We ain't the
should
only
we
ones.
are we supposed to step in and stop, like do some meditation and try to stop the weather, or are we supposed to let it just continue to do what it do? Like, how does this work in terms of
It's a
nature?
the weather is driven by the emotions of the matriarchs, and they call it when the elephant's swaying. It
Yeah,
causes earthquakes. This is the sway of the matriarch. It's an old earth dance. And they got earthbenders, firebenders, waterbenders, airbenders, ether benders, just like that movie Avatar.
yeah,
Right? What we're seeing now is all of this is not natural. A lot of it is to create chaos to keep us distracted from all of the government. That's about what it is. It's a lot of them where they trying to hold on to their last little sips of power, and they trying to cause as much confusion on the way out as to who's working for the good and who's working for the bad, or who's working for the right and the wrong. Because when you boil this down, this is a kind of meaning that when you come into the physical realm, everything is how the mind adjusts to that, or how the reality adjusts to the mind. The more minds become aware that the game of the gods is a fifth dimensional galactic chess game, and they use people on the earth to play the game, and then the so-called gods take the form of humans to be blind to what's going on to see if they can figure out the solution to the game. They call it the keys to freedom.
Up in their cribs and shit
Mm-hmm.
because they hitting them in the pockets,
Yeah.
right? So this is the way the tribes from the West Coast say, motherfucker, if you on our land and we can't have none, y'all can't either.
Mm.
If we can't have peace at home, y'all can't have peace in our house.
Indeed.
Why would we let you come in our house, give us hell,
Mm-hmm. You live
and get
nice.
peace,
Mm-hmm. Living nice.
right? So they gave the appearance of legitimacy
Mm-hmm.
using the system of uniforms, labels, and titles. And that's what tricked us into thinking that the police was actually our friend.
Mm-hmm.
Them motherfuckers don't give two drops of shit about us. Anything you say to them is the wrong thing to say to them,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
Because they only looking to find a reason to lock our ass
Lock you
up.
up. Yep.
They not trying to solve a crime.
Mm-mm.
They not trying to bring justice to the community.
Wait for you to slip up.
They trying to find more food to feed their prison industrial complex.
That's it.
Now, the more arrests they make, the higher they move up in rank, the more raises they get.
Mm.
You see a parallel here,
Mm-hmm.
right? So once they get to be detectives, now they get to go undercover in the community and start some real shit,
Yeah.
right? But we see through all that shit now, all of their tactics, we documented that shit and shared it in the public domain. So we know
Yeah.
what they're doing now.
Mm-hmm.
There ain't no secret no more.
Yeah.
So now all we got to do is look at the tactic and we can trace it back to the source.
Yeah.
and you
Gotcha.
got the enemy exposing itself trying to be an asshole.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yep. There's a question here, but I got one more question before I'm going to do that. That question, because you brought something to my mind. I know we ain't really talk about space, but I'm going to do something that still affects of all of us, dealing with us coming into the sun cycle and solar flares. What type? Could you break down the importance of us being now in the sun cycle and the solar flares and how they affect us?
If you go back to I think it's the 18th dynasty, Tutankhamun, you see Akhenaten
Mm-hmm.
has a picture of the sun over his family, and at the
Mm-hmm.
end of each one of the rays of the sun, there's a hand.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So from the sun, we get information, data, input. The sun don't even have to be real for the purposes that it's being used for.
Mm-hmm.
It's emitting gamma rays, UV
Mm-hmm.
rays, UVBs, all these different spectrums of light is coming from the sun. That's the center of our solar system,
Mm-hmm.
right? As this energy comes to the earth, it gives us information on a DNA level,
Yeah.
right? So the way that I'd like to describe it is information of life comes in from the sun on angles of light.
Mm-hmm.
And these angles of light are angels of light delivering messages to the righteous.
Mm.
I meditate on the water because the water amplifies the message as I become the receiving vessel.
Mm.
I can get a clearer message and it's much more louder, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the streamers in the matrix is the same as the rays from the sun.
Mm.
But the same way we get rays from the sun, each star that's perceptual is also sending light rays to the earth.
Mm-hmm.
Those stars manifest in the form of human beings. We call them star seeds,
Mm.
right? The
Mm-hmm.
earthborn children of the sun are the originals, right? And they are the oldest tribes around the world,
Mm.
right? So we communicate with Mother Nature because when we ground to earth, it's the same as grounding the antenna on your radio in order to get a clear
Be a station.
reception
Mm-hmm.
on the box,
Indeed.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So back in the day when I was little, we had what we call rabbit ears for antennas on the TV,
I remember those.
right? But then sometimes we had to use the clothes hanger and tinfoil.
I remember those.
But this is because we're trying to get a good reception.
Indeed.
Now everybody got a different psychic ability. Because they told us that if we do anything of a psychic nature, we are insane.
Mm-hmm.
Most of us suppress our natural psychic ability.
Mm-hmm.
So the only way to reignite it is to start practicing as if you know how to use it,
Yeah.
right? So we use oracle implements like tarot cards, the runes, the I Ching, the crystal readers.
Mm-hmm.
All these is just
Pendulums. Mm-hmm.
all and pendulum. All those are training wheels.
Mm-hmm.
The one that you're drawn to tells you which psychic ability that you naturally want to enhance.
Okay.
That's why you're drawn to it.
Indeed. That makes perfect sense. Okay. I'm gonna let this question go because I know they put in here, and I got another one after you. But the question is, so what happens after people start cleaning out their filters?
When you clean your filter, your organism functions at a higher level. You can facilitate a stronger electromagnetic current, which generates a stronger electromagnetic field, which causes a denser aura, which allows you to be a much more firm and stable person overall.
Makes sense. Another question I have specifically dealing with conjuring, you know, and the metaphysics on our, okay, dealing with like hoodoo and as we know, Native American metaphysics, you know, is that something that is all connected to, you know, to Africa, to Kemet, you know, Samaria, whatever the case may
Okay,
be?
those sciences, like, okay, so these are denominations: Voodoo, Hoodoo, Wicca, Santeria, Brujeria. Those are saying the same with the ancient culture is saying denominations in the Christian church. Right? So they're all part of the ancient arts. Now, when we come up and we begin to become astute in one of them, let's say Hermeticism, we then become required to study all of the rest of them in order to get an overview of what mysticism is really about.
To remain in perpetual ignorance if we don't never figure out that the games they play. And Felipe Wins sang the song "Games People Play." Right? So if you don't know the game, and the game is the game of life, that's a street knock. And if you're knocking up and down the street, you must be a concrete gorilla because you're rocking in the concrete jungle.
That's right.
So these gorillas start knocking the ground, we start bouncing off these skyscrapers. And we make a very peculiar sound as we knock around. Pillar to post, we go. We gonna get these motherfuckers out one way or another.
Go ahead.
It's a game of awareness of self and your identity to where you belong on the land. The secret is if you put your palms to the earth and your forehead and your knees and you ask Mother Earth where you belong, you're gonna unmistakably know if you from this land or not. And if you ain't from Earth, she might cut you off anyway, so it ain't gonna matter. The whole script, narrative, all of this technology is ancient. There's nothing new under the sun. We've done this before. Every close out of age, we do the same cleanup from a different system. Whatever didn't work, we cast that off. We keep what worked, and we let the society run in the error until you get to the point where you can take all of the errors out. That's what you call moving into a golden age.
Hey, somebody asked.
Right.
Go ahead. Say all the 33-degree Masons good, or how did that connect with the what we talking about now?
Look,
it's all conjure. Go ahead. It's all conjure.
Listen to the bad. It's a game of universal good cop, bad cop. It's a game of universal who right, who wrong. In the God mind, if there's a possibility of anything, it's a certainty of everything. Right? If you can conceive it in your psyche, it's going to play out in the reality, or else it's not possible to exist. It just might not play out in the manner you see it.
Right. To me, 33 degrees is like it's really all a scrunch. It's really we're dealing with Big Mama's calendar about the degrees when the sun coming in Tropicana. On the sun coming in springtime, it's really dealing with it's really, like doggone teachings.
Hey, I'm finna send you this again.
It's gonna be hard for me to slide it to this computer because I'm on my other computer where I had to slide it to that computer, then slide it to the hard drive. So, I ain't in that room. I'm in the back room because I'm gonna reset my office up to this back room. But I had did it yet, so I'm gonna have it done tomorrow, so I can be able to do everything. Hey, bro, you cut out?
I'm here.
Oh yeah. So like, if you send me something now, I won't be able to slide it to this laptop right here. I only have to slide it to my other laptop, and then put it on my this hard drive right here. Then slide it to this.
Okay, we don't worry about it. So,
about an hour. You want to take about 30 or 40 minutes worth of questions? Because you got a lot.
Yeah, we can do. We can go to Q&A.
All right, because we got a lot of people on here asking a lot of questions. Hey, if you got got some questions for the brother Rod concerning the topic. Okay, somebody asked, I think he talked about that already. Is California going to flood? What about the different safe zones, Rod?
Look, it's floods happening in California already. Vegas too, or Nevada, I should say. This because of the changing in the flow. When the water, when the pole center reverse polarity, it's going to have an effect on land, air, and water.
Thanks.
We're going to see the effect on the meters by reading Schumann resonance, watching the changes in the frequency, because these are notes, musical notes coming from the center of the earth that's being read by machines that man made to read them.
Yeah, seismograph.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So they can show you what the Schumann resonance is doing. And if you're watching how it's responding to the solar rays,
Exactly.
then that unlocks to you the connection of heaven to earth. The sun representing the crown chakra, right? And the crown chakra talk to the heart chakra represented by the earth. And it's the heart and mind, right? Is the balance between intelligence and creativity. Right? And it's the ability to be able to assimilate masculine and feminine understanding of the mechanics of life. Right? So we're going to see flood zones, but Mother Earth going to tell you to move if it's time to move. Watch the animals.
Watch the bird. Watch the bird.
I've been telling people this for ever since I've been doing this. Watch the animals.
Thanks.
When they say get gone, get the fuck gone. Because they not going to stay where the disaster going to be. And they going to understand what Mama Earth said before you ever figure out she said something.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right, Rod. That's true.
Pay attention to the animals. They going to tell you. Man setting fires in warfare right now. And it serves another purpose of giving the alternative explanation for the red iron oxide that's going to be permeating the atmosphere more and more on the next upcoming months or so.
Man,
more cities. Yeah,
man,
more cities going to be reporting that dust on their cars and all that stuff. They're going to be putting it on social media. Y'all going to see it.
That's right.
Right. Now,
like Hawaii always burnt to the ground. Hawaii.
Yeah.
Man.
Some people think it's the rust from the dome cracking open. This is rust is shattered, been closed so long.
Oh man, you think it's crazy. That shit makes my head hurt. Thinking niggas like that.
Hey,
God,
whatever happened, I know I'm reading this.
Dust from the dome. What the nigga said, bro? What the fuck? Oh shit, man. Niggas is getting dumber and dumber. Niggas get dumber and dumber.
Look, I don't have no.
Yeah, right. Go ahead.
Every concept of what the earth is true and not true at the same time.
Yeah, so like
we in perpetual creation by mutual agreement by coming to a synthesis at the same time.
Now, is it? Do you think it's something as far as somebody like if you're native, to the land? Do you think is it still up to your choice, kind of to how do you explain it? Like, do you think that you would gravitate more so to something more so native, as far as if you are like metaphysically looking for
our natural swag is the nature of tribes. Our natural swag, the way that we just are, like the people in New Orleans is a certain way. They love a certain way. They share family bond a certain way. You try to take Mardi Gras from them, and they come from all walks of life. They gonna fuck you up.
Oh yeah,
and it's not gonna be personal. right? You're gonna have a problem if you try to take Mardi Gras. That's a cultural thing. That's part of the nature of the tribe on the land down there.
Mm-hmm.
The tribes from down there, we didn't just have Mardi Gras in New Orleans. They
Mm-hmm.
call it the Grand Carnivals in Brazil now.
Yeah.
Right? It's the Mardi Gras.
Mm-hmm.
It's a giant festival. You got different ones. You got one that's supposed to be like the Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's the type of Mardi Gras festival to recognize the ones that crossed over as warriors. Then you have, let's say, all of those festivals that they have. You be seeing them in South America a lot. Those festivals is cultural festivals that if the enemy would have tried to take that from the people, they would have had no rest on the land. That's just as simple as that. So it kept our cultures intact.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Sea walking, crip walking, that's an ancient conjure. Bee walking is the flip side of the same conjure. Cricket walking, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then you have in Detroit, we got what we call Jit City.
Mm-hmm.
In Chicago, we ballrooming, we stepping, right? So all of these local traditional dances is the tribal instinct to develop a cultural link through dance and music. We naturally do that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm. Whew. As always, you hitting, brother. This, the source of everything, as we in our language we call Papa Uch, but the source of everything is just a big mom that just wants to take care of you. Just sits back and just saying, so I brought you to this planet. You know what I'm saying? What are you going to do? You know what I'm saying? What are and she'll nurture you and she'll whoop your ass, you know what I'm saying, at the same time. But and I love that analogy, man.
And she gonna tell you to sit your ass down right now. You ain't got no business out there in them streets. And I don't want to hear no talk back. And y'all, you gonna be saying, you don't know why you doing it because in your mind you cussing her out. I ain't gonna listen and all that. But when she tell you, just say yes, ma'am.
That's it.
Right? And you be like, what the fuck just happened? Big Mama spoke.
My mama spoke.
That's it. Don't nothing else need to happen. Because if you piss Big Mama off, she gonna call Big Papa and he gonna put his foot in your ass.
That's it. You already know.
And then if you think he too old to tussle with you and you strong enough, he got one of them boys or two of them boys that's gonna put your new world in order.
That's it.
Ain't no disrespect at Big Mama house, period. That's all it is to it. That's the law of the family.
That's it.
Right? So we gotta all get back to Big Mama house.
Big Mama's house. That's it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man. I'm telling you, man. I love listening to your lives, man. Because I think you were breaking something down about Django, and even so, dealing with the slaves, Native Americans, all that stuff, it all starts making so much more sense. And I put it right in the movie. Samuel L. Jackson sitting there writing all the checks when old boy, what's his name, Leonardo DiCaprio, he out there masquerading like he's really the front, but Samuel L. got all the power behind the scenes. You know what I'm saying? It's all making sense, man. I'm telling you, bro. Because like I told you before we went on here, I was watching when I was reading the first time I got that book, Let's Set the Record Straight by Dr. York, right? I was reading it,
that's
back out.
There,
man, that'll crack your neck in half, man. But see, I was younger when I first got it, obviously, you know what I'm saying? So I'm sitting there reading it, and I got the information stored in me, all that stuff he was talking about at the time, because I was wearing the red fez, back in and everything. All that information, I got it all. But see, it's a lot different when you start connecting the dots to other aspects of American history. You know what I'm saying? It all starts becoming more alive and more real and more tangible, to this reality we're dealing with.
Right.
In America.
So it helped you make sense of the struggles we've been through and why we even went through them. We didn't know it. We didn't know in the 60s and the 50s and 20s that we were at war.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. But our ancestors knew that ones that got slaughtered in the 1700s, 1600s, and even the early 1800s,
Mm-hmm.
right? You can see the power struggle,
Mm-hmm.
but they telling you that it's something other than what you looking at,
Yeah.
right? They telling you that the Boston Tea Party was about excessive taxation.
Mm-hmm.
Well, why we ain't having a Boston Tea Party?
Yeah.
We being excessively taxed,
Excessively tax. Yep.
right? So then the Boston Tea Party couldn't have been about taxes because we ain't having a Boston Tea Party right now.
Mm-hmm.
So what was it about? There was the crash site.
Mm.
It was the incident that allowed them to declare that we crashed our land map into their ship,
Mm-hmm.
right? So their ship was stuck on a sandbar,
Mm-hmm.
and the ship got looted. So when they claim, that's how they was able to come with the second constitution,
Yeah.
right? Because the second constitution comes in as a unified company of the Virginia Company and the Northwest Trading Company.
Mm-hmm.
They merged to become the interim government. Uh, Whatever he needed to do to stop the Illuminati, because George Herbert something that I did miss earlier, and I was talking about um, the current events. Now, remember, Rome caught on fire. Um, Europe is having a heat wave. Parts of England or the UK caught on fire. The indicator is the last place to have a major fire got to be DC. Based on the what we've been watching, I wouldn't be surprised if they don't implode what we call the White House. That motherfucker might be set for demolition. I just don't know it yet. But something gonna happen where it's gonna be some fires near DC because that's the last of the 3 city states jurisdictions to burn. And so when they do the ritual burning ceremonies to show us what's been destroyed, Rome, the Buckingham Palace and the royal family, all that shit gone. So now DC military industrial complex, the shutdown of the corporate jurisdiction. We also got notice confirming that Donald J. Trump did implement continuity of government protocols. I think I posted it, or I'm going to post it if I haven't. So stay monitor my this IG page. I'm in Facebook jail on Facebook, and they closed my Rod Hayes page down on Instagram. But don't worry about it. This is my backup page. Now it's my primary Instagram. So from here, I'm going to go to set up another backup page because I don't know how long they're going to let this motherfucker stay up if I keep telling y'all what's going on. Feathers up, motherfuckers. Feathers up. Right? So, again, we're going to be looking for a resolution to the disruption with the Vice Lord GD connection to show them that we all one family. We all come from different angles, but we all serving the same purpose. Right? And this is the only way out. The only exit strategy is to strategize and exit. Yeah, all that protesting abortion shit, some bullshit. My son's keeper said, watch Anya Mott's latest video or latest live. Can you send it to me in my Instagram messenger? And I'll go check it out, see what she's talking about. If they take Brady and V say, why would they want the glands? It's not that they want the glands, they just don't want you to have them. Because all of these, when you go study in your
chemetic studies, they got canoptic jars with key organs in it, and they also have a listing of glands in the journals from Kemet, telling them the importance of the bodily secretions. And this is how they was able to extrapolate what adrenochrome would do in a Babylonian ritual blood magic ceremonies. The thing now is they want to destroy your glands to interfere with your ascension process. So even if they don't take them, they want to destroy them, congest your organs, your filters, so that they can back up the gland and deprive the gland of key nutrition. Look, people keep asking the same question about work and bills and stuff. I can only tell you what I did. Fuck a job, fuck a bill. That's all I can tell you. The way that I position myself is where those things don't affect my reality anymore. When you learn how to position yourself, you're going to know what to do. You ain't going to need to ask the question. If you asking the question, that's because you have been properly prepared in order to sever yourself from a contract. You have to prepare yourself, or you got to be willing to endure the struggle of not being able to pay their bills, and they remove services temporarily until we back in the driver's seat. You gonna pay that shit, or you gonna let that shit get cut off, or you gonna position yourself where they pay it for you. However you do it, the one thing that's going to be consistent and constant is when the flip happens, you ain't gonna have that shit no more. But until the flip happen, I can't really tell you a viable solution to your bills and your rent, because you have to prepare those things. Most people not prepared. And that's why we ain't bugging out that more people aren't leaving their jobs. But if we can get them motherfuckers, look up the Big Quit, you will see that there's people all over the country and around the world that's leaving their jobs in order to collapse the system so that we can come up. But somebody gonna have to struggle. I've been doing it for 3 years, so I know that somebody else can do it for a couple of months, right? So those are the things that we face with, and the reality that we have to endure in order to get to better days. You're gonna have to go through a struggle somewhere. Everybody want this shit to be an easy ass motherfucking shit. It's not easy. It's not easy. They messing with my video. It's a sister says she wanted to talk about the RH factor. But I don't see her I don't see where it went. Okay. So yeah, sis was spitting that motherfucking fire. She telling you what I told you, was saying in that video, desecration of the holy places. And the holy places is both on the ground of the earth and on the woman body, her uterus and mammary glands. Somebody put a magnesium. So magnesium, you can't use none of your trace minerals without magnesium. Magnesium is the facilitator for all of the trace minerals, the same way vitamin C is for all of the vitamins. Right, so they become critical. Oh man, the male child birth, that's a whole to really give people a good understanding of how difficult it is for a male to be born on earth. I would need a dry erase board and a dry erase marker, because I would have to show you layers of information at the same time, and then I have to show you the math that's involved, because it's to all of the males is like anomalies on Earth. We like phenomena that doesn't make sense based on what we have to go through to come into this life. So I'll go back over that when I get to a dry erase board where we talk about the birthing of a God. That's actually part of the doula training, because the women have to understand, and the men by that, about when they having a child, how to optimize the brain function and bodily function of the child by programming the child with the parent's mind. The mind of the parent can program the genetics of the child as to what to do. We don't know this because we think that all this shit is just some mix the vinegar and baking soda and wait for the reaction. Yeah. So let me look at these questions one more time. There's people who's been posting Lionsgate rituals. They already know what to do, so you could just look them up on social media sites. They've been talking about them. Trump is the big joker in the galactic spade game. All of those strains was different CIA, MI5, KGB, secret intelligence codes flipped in the public domain to capture a news story and to utilize it to exchange massive amounts of information under that cloak. I already explained how they add your calories burned